Hello, I'm Tim Rogers. You are watching Kotaku.com. I love the Nintendo Switch. It's like a huge Game Boy, which is perfect because I'm like a huge 13-year-old. I mean that literally. As I narrate this video, I'm wearing a 1992 US Olympic Basketball Dream Team shirt. Recently, I bought this Hori brand portable mode only Nintendo Switch Joy-Con with a cross-shaped D-pad. Fun fact, in Japan they call the cross-shaped D-pad a plus key switch. I slid it onto my Nintendo Switch and fixed to go to town testing it out on one of my favorite Nintendo Switch games. Immediately, I was paralyzed with indecision. Wow, I have a lot of Nintendo Switch games that would benefit from a good D-pad. I did a quick count. I have 34 games on my Nintendo Switch that do not require the player to ever touch either analog stick. I love making lists as much as you might love witnessing lists. So here's a ranked list of my favorite no-analog stick Nintendo Switch games. Ikaruga is not the best shooting game ever made. It's also not the only Japanese arcade shooting game on the Nintendo Switch. However, it's perhaps the perfect shooting game to play if you've always wanted to get into this infamously unforgiving genre and were too afraid to start. It'd be folly to play a classic like this with the Nintendo Switch's dead zone-alicious analog stick. Aegis Defenders is a side-scrolling action tower defense game with a party member switching mechanic that reminds me of Blizzard's classic The Lost Vikings. It's addictive, puzzly, strategic, replayable, and it has a story. Octopath Traveler is a Japanese role-playing game by Square Enix. You don't need to use analog sticks at all. The directional pad will do. Hey, the directional pad lets you move in exactly 8 directions. That makes it the original Octopath. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the best Donkey Kong Country game yet, and yes, I played Donkey Kong Country 2 literally the day it came out, and yes, this one is better, perfectly recalls the demanding exactitude of its predecessors. To manipulate this great ape or his simian familiars with an analog stick, when a perfectly good directional pad sits beneath your opposable thumb, would really sort you into the knuckle draggers category. Space Dave by Choice Provisions is a grotesquely robust arcade-style shooting game. Warning, everything on screen moves so fluidly and so often that you might not want to play this game if you're a jello-phobic. I mean, I seriously know a guy who's just cannot stand to see stuff jiggle. First of all, Ninja Striker is only $3.99. I loved the mobile version of this game, though the Nintendo Switch remake surprised me with its extreme depth. If you absolutely love ridiculously, hideously demanding movement technicalities in your action games, you'll replay every level of Ninja Striker maybe like 19 times each. I sure did. Having already played Shovel Knight is a terrible reason to not play Shovel Knight again. And Shovel Knight Treasure Trove for the Nintendo Switch is something you can purchase, download, and gingerly rest a selection cursor over, knowing full well in your heart that someday, should you boot it up, you will never need to touch a filthy analog stick. Yoku's Island Express is a 2D side-scrolling pinball platforming Metroid-like exploration game with dinky music and bubbly characters. It reminds me of Wario Land 2 and 3 for the Game Boy. Those were the ones where Wario couldn't die. I'm definitely going to finish this game someday. Steamworld Dig 2 is a massive, huge exploration platform game with charming personality and good, clean visuals. It doesn't even need pixel art to remind me of the dream of the 1990s. 20XDX is a procedural Mega Man X-like with sparkling controls and excellent weapons. Dashing and jumping is a visceral joy. Each playthrough nets you currency to buy permanent upgrades. 20XDX is a game that's as satisfying as using the bathroom, and you can play it while using the bathroom. If you have ever audibly wished someone would remaster Castlevania III Dracula's Curse for the Nintendo Switch, well, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is better than that would be. It's pleasant, painless, and full of verve. I don't see how the full-on, modern, actual Bloodstained game will be any better than this, though I hope it at least doesn't require analog sticks. Another World, also known as Out of This World, originated the cinematic action platform genre in 1991. 2001, and it remains one of the best games ever made today, if you can get over its controls feeling hecka old, and or you are some kind of professional video game design historian. If you like role-playing games, golf, both, or neither, you will probably like Golf Story. Many characters in it say, "Crikey!" Role-playing games in the 16-bit era didn't need no stinking analog sticks. Cosmic Star Heroine recalls the best of classics like Chrono Trigger and Phantasy Star 4. Even the battle system is great. The Mummy Demastered is based on the terrible Tom Cruise film, The Mummy, being part 1 of Universal Studios' Dark Universe, which also starred Russell Crowe as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. A film with a premise like that deserves a game by the expert pixel artisans at WayForward. The Mummy Demastered reminds me of all the trashiest licensed games of the 1990s, such as LJN's Alien 3, Acclaim's Terminator 2, and Acclaim's True Lies, only with a few of the rougher edges polished off. I love these guns. If you love the SNK Neo Geo arcade system as much as I do, you might already be sleeping with your Nintendo Switch under your pillow. There are too many Neo Geo games on the Switch for me to list them all, so I'll just nominate my favorite. Shock Troopers Second Squad is a top-down, rock-hard, 8-directional shooting game with all the cute anime art, nauseatingly smooth animation, big chunky vehicles, and sudden expressions of bloody gore that endeared the Neo Geo to so many tens of thousands of preteens, whose first music purchase was probably something by Metallica. You can't get The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past or Link's Awakening on Nintendo Switch because Nintendo hates my Visa card. However, you can get a loving tribute called Blossom Tales. It's cute and robust, and its dungeons are excellent. I met a guy in 2018 who told me that the Sega Game Gear was quote-unquote still the best portable game console ever. That guy was a poser and a liar. Sonic Mania is on the Nintendo Switch, and it's the best Sonic ever. I guess all we need now is a Shining Force on the Switch, huh? And a Fire Emblem, and an Advance Wars, and Animal Crossing. Minute is a little tiny Zelda Link's Awakening-like adventure where you die every 60 seconds. It's cleverer than heck. It's the only game I can think of off the top of my head that has a single button on the controller dedicated to killing your character immediately. Wizard of Legend crams more depth into the Nintendo Switch's 4 face buttons than most AAA games cram into 2 analog sticks, 2 triggers, 2 shoulder buttons, and a D-pad for switching weapons. Iconoclasts is an intricate action-adventure whose sole creator's favorite games are Metroid Fusion, Metal Slug, Secret of Evermore, and Monster World 4. Maybe you're thinking, those aren't the 4 most popular games ever. That's the point. Iconoclasts is masterfully crafted. It flows perfectly from start to finish, and it has a whole Japanese role-playing game's worth of story in it. To play it is to instantly become a mechanical expert in a dozen games you have never heard of. Get some literacy, bro. Celeste is one of the best games of 2018. And also one of the best platform games of all time. Celeste is so good that while playing it, you might not even remember that you can't give Nintendo $5 to play Super Mario Bros. 3 on your Nintendo Switch. What can I say about Dead Cells that hasn't already been said twice by 2 different people? Dead Cells is the hottest, loudest, stickiest, messiest, wettest, weirdest, chinchilla fur smoothest, roguish, Metroid-like Deathcathlon yet. Its brutal nature demands the precision that only a good directional pad allows. Hollow Knight is as good as people who write for Kotaku.com say it is. Beneath every blog post about Hollow Knight are about 1 billion comments being like, is this game actually good? How many trillion more blog posts do you need to see, buddy? Get it. Do you loudly pipe up about having never owned a Nintendo every time someone at a social gathering says Zelda? I don't, though I still love Elliot Quest. Maybe you missed this game on the Nintendo Wii U. Maybe everyone did. Play it and gaze into a dimensional portal beyond which unfurl the many ancient action-adventure possibilities that never were. Now that I realize how many of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch don't require the analog sticks, I can't stop noticing every time my thumbs bumble against the analog sticks while I'm playing. This Hori brand portable mode only D-pad Joy-Con was only $20. I really wish someone would make a pair of portable mode only Joy-Cons that don't have the analog sticks. In conclusion, analog sticks are great. Without analog sticks, we wouldn't have Super Mario 64 or GoldenEye. However, sometimes a guy just wants to remember the early 1990s. What can I say? That guy is me. I was born stupid, however, I will not die hungry. Video games forever, Kotaku.com.